The plan is that I drink a lot of water. I drink a ton of water. I start with
Are
some
you allowed
coffee.
to take bathroom breaks?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. You just you can't
You just,
well because it's
yeah,
playing. I'm
yeah.
also very literal. Like so if you say
It
you're gonna play
is.
games for 24
It
hours,
is. Addie, hello.
hi more.
What's going on?
Um just I don't know, a little bit nervous,
Oh,
but
okay. Me too.
still, yeah.
It's been 19 years, right?
Yeah.
I cannot
That's
believe it.
crazy.
Yeah, actually, it's amazing how time just flows and goes by. Cause
Hmm.
yeah, I don't even know where to start. So I'm just gonna say how you been, like as a general. What
Like in the last 19 years,
in
pretending
or
that
today or whatever.
today, I've been good. I feel like you caught me on a good day.
Good.
Maybe if we chatted last week, I would have a different temperament.
Oh, okay.
But today was a pretty good day,
Good.
and just doing the mom thing
Mm-hmm.
today,
Mm-hmm.
and doing the. I worked a little bit. I stayed up too late working,
Yeah.
so I was kind of wiped earlier today.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good. Well, if it makes you feel better, I had a very long day as well, and I've been putting in some long days myself, so I totally get it. But we're just gonna hang out and I think
Okay.
catch up. So I think for me, I wanted to talk to you because, for one, I know it's been 19 years, but I think I've tried to keep up with you as much as I can, at least via social media.
I'm
And
really glad that yeah, like I was listening to the previous one and
yeah,
we're talking about like how like our generation fell in the social media like
mm,
birth kind
yeah,
of, and I'm glad that that's available to us. So
yes,
like, hey, we can still keep in touch a little bit and
yeah, yeah. It
but
it's pretty incredible, right? Because um, I am not. I'll be honest. I'm not a good friend in that in the context of even when I'm not busy, I just forget to reach out to people, even though I think about them. And so know
mhm.
that I've been thinking about you. But I'm just bad at that. I barely like call my own mom, which
Yeah.
I'm sorry, mom, if you're watching, but I I'm not good at that. And actually, a big part of this is an effort to. It's kind of built into the whole thing, right? Like
Yeah.
it allows me to say, okay, well, I'm doing this whatever you want to call this podcast thing where I
Project. Yeah.
project I call up old friends and just catch up and we talk about the things that they're working on and the things they're passionate about. And a lot of that came from the whole fact that I was sitting one day, just I think probably even browsing Facebook and being like, man, I miss a lot of these people in my life that I don't
Hmm.
see on
Hmm.
the regular day-to-day basis. And I'm like, man, I need a way to, not that I need an excuse, but
Hmm.
it certainly helps to say, I'm gonna call up old friends. And I think, you are one of my oldest friends, actually, now that I
Yeah.
think about it. And so I just wanted to catch up. And
Yeah.
I've been
A
keeping
good
up,
reason.
yeah, I've been keeping up with you with your your Facebook stuff and your posts online with your
Hmm.
blog and your videos. And so and it's always weird when I tell people this because I always feel kind of like a creeper because I know what you're up to. But I'm just glad that you're doing well. Things seem to be going pretty well for you. And so,
Thanks.
yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. I feel like there's kind of that disconnect between social media and like real life
Of course.
where, you do get to catch up with people, but you don't see me on the bad days
Uh-huh.
because I'm not gonna share that, as broadly.
Yeah.
And so it's actually been kind of difficult, and especially with the dress thing this
Mhm.
this year, because I feel like I have this expectation I put on myself to like be a certain way, and
Mhm.
it just the like expectation versus reality is just not
It's
there.
so there's such a massive delta, right? Like where it's
Mm,
because we curate our social feed to look the way we want it to look. People see what we want them to see because, of course, if you had a bad day, you're probably not gonna. I'm not
mhm,
gonna put that up there. Although,
mhm.
I mean, I have on occasion, but like that's not something that I
Yeah,
think ever really like want to share.
yeah,
And I think you're right. It's like there's this you only want to put you only put out what you only want to put out what you want others to see in you.
yeah,
And so, you know, I get that. It's really hard. And I don't that's a tough one because you point out something that's really true, right? Like cuz if I saw you every day, like if we happen to live in the same city or like we happen to just hang out all the time, I would know the things that aren't as, stellar, and same like it goes both ways. You would know when I'm having
yeah,
a bad day. Um
yeah,
what I guess so you said the dress thing.
yeah.
And so
Mm,
how's I guess I want to talk about that because that kind of has sparked, I think, this feeling here about like not feeling like you can really like show.
yeah.
Yeah. So tell me.
Um, so, uh, wearing a dress every day to raise money for a local recovery home called
Mm-hmm.
Peoria Home.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you know about that,
Yep.
but other people might not, who
Right.
might watch this or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Peoria Home particularly serves women affected by prostitution and addiction. And so I've worked with them for like 3 or 4 years now, mostly writing and doing fundraisers and stuff. And about a year ago, I had the plan to do a year long like challenge of wearing a dress every day, and that was borrowed from Dressember, which
Right.
is a similar thing. So I've been doing that. And at first, it was like all about the dresses. And I took a picture every day of me in the dress. And like, it
Yep.
got a little nauseating. Actually, it was like,
Right.
I'm sick of all these pictures of me in a dress. And I don't know, I just kind of like stopped
Mm-hmm.
and stopped posting that and started being more invested, like to my family and stuff. And the dress thing is still really on my mind, and I'm still wearing a dress every day, but I'm not talking about it near as much on social media or like my newsletter thing. And
Mm-hmm.
mostly it's because I've got so much other work on my plate that I just want to crawl in a hole.
Yeah.
And, it's, I'm grateful to have the option or opportunity to do this for Peoria Home.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm looking forward to it being over just
Yeah.
so I can kind of run off that part of my brain. And I don't know. I think that for me, having too full of a schedule and too big of a to-do list really kills my creativity.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I when I'm like have idle hands, I can be really impulsive and make kind of poor decisions like that I don't think through all the way. And
Right.
so it's that kind of you know balance, I guess. But I'm not very good at balancing anything.
Mm,
So
yeah.
yeah. Um, so I'm calling it closed indignity,
Mm-hmm.
which I kind of wish I'd picked a little bit different name, only because I don't like when you say it quickly, it sounds like indignity,
Right.
like you're so. But I do like that I picked that word,
Yeah.
dignity. Um, and anyway, so yeah, that's kind of been the big thing. And then I do a lot of work for my job,
Mm-hmm.
but then also homeschooling and stuff and
And everything in
being and
between.
yeah.
And everything in between. I think I guess with the project of the dress and your work and life overall, and you kind of touched on this, like it kind of feels like it probably saps some creativity or your ability to like, because I
Mhm.
remember when you were posting every day, you were posting like the pictures or like
Mm,
the content was pretty
mhm.
steady, and that's actually what got my attention because I remember I would be scrolling through my feed. I'm like, oh, there's another thing from Addie, awesome, and then I'd look at it and read it, or I'd click on the picture and check
Mhm.
like, and it was really nice to like, totally cool to see it and to sympathize as someone who like has tried to create content every day. It becomes like you get to a point where it's like, oh, I have to do this now because it's the thing
Yeah.
I've been doing every day. And
Yeah.
then you become less like you kind of feel like it's harder to do, whether it's like, oh, I did, you know, is it different? Is it new? Or
Mhm.
is it
Mhm.
like, are people gonna be sick of seeing this? Or are
Yeah.
people, yeah, because I certainly get like, I get that way where like when
Yeah.
I'm on there a lot and I'm
Yeah.
posting because I either have a burst of like energy and creativity, or like I think, oh yeah, that would be great to like post this thing or upload this video, and then I get to the point where I've done it for like so many times on a regular interval. I'm like, are they sick of seeing this, or
Yeah. Yeah.
am, am I
Like, this sort of feels like high school. Like, why am I afraid of what people think? Like,
yeah.
and I think that, like, especially, well, Clothes and Dignity came out of the being comfortable with having the blog, which I had the Good Logger,
Yes.
which I wanted to have a blog for a really long time that wasn't my family blog. Like, I
Right.
think 10 years ago, everybody had a family blog because
Yes.
Facebook wasn't really the place. Like, you could only have like 10 pictures or something. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, everybody had their family blog and everyone had their here's what we're doing lately kind of stuff. And we had one.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of got replaced by Facebook and other avenues.
Yeah.
And then like a couple years ago, I really wanted to start one that was just my work, but not like I was starting to kind of come into the identity as like a writer, not just,
Yeah.
like I actually would refer to myself as a writer instead of, but then there's, and I think you mentioned this, like that feeling of imposter syndrome where
Mm-hmm.
you're just like, I'm not really anything. I'm just calling myself this because I want to be this.
Mm-hmm.
And so the good logger came out of one of my good friends, Scott, asking if I wanted to help write on a blog. And I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of an answer to this desire of my heart that I've wanted for a long time. And, but just didn't have that like confidence to pursue because, and so this felt safe. It was like, well, if I mess up and I can share that guilt with Scott instead of it just being
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And I'm much more detailed in some ways. And so I kind of became the person to like schedule things and
Mm-hmm.
edit things. And Scott isn't really participating a lot, although he fully can.
Yeah.
And the bringing in new people and like at the beginning of the Good Logger, I thought, oh, I could post like twice a week. That's great. And then suddenly realizing like that's a crap load of work to like
Yes.
consistently rely on creativity.
Yes.
And so, it slowed down a lot. And I've been drawing on things that I've written, you know, by myself like a long time ago and pulling back out.
Mm-hmm.
But then also writing, like it comes out of I'm not like diagnosed with anything, but I have this like wave, like not manic depressive, but it feels that way
Right.
where I'll have really high days and then comparatively pretty low days.
Yeah.
usually in the low slump is where I'll get some clarity on what to write. Um, and I like those parts the best, but I don't
Hmm.
like
The
the
actual
accompanying
feeling.
like feelings of
Yeah.
despair or whatever.
Hmm.
So to have something that like clothes and dignity that has to be a consistent thing because I'm only doing this for a year,
Hmm.
I can't, like I would love to create something else, like compile it all into like a book or something, but
Yeah.
I'm a little afraid that that's not going to happen because I'm going to get distracted. Like a squirrel is going to run past me and I'll run over there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So um, if it happens, that would be great. But
I love the idea of it. I think that
mhm,
is a really great like way to kind of cap it all off after,
mhm.
after it's all, after you get through it all. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with waiting a while. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
um,
mhm,
I think that, man, there's a couple things in there that I want to look at as far as the imposter syndrome part.
yeah.
That's great in that, and not the fact that that is a thing for you, but it's
Like they're gonna find
they're
me
gonna,
out that I'm like
yeah,
a big,
I'm a big phony.
I
I
yell at my kids all day long instead of like,
oh,
"Doo-doo-doo-doo, I'm a homeschooling mom." Like, yeah.
right.
But I think everybody feels that way to some
Oh yeah.
extent.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think, and as a parent, it's we have so many, I don't have to tell you, but like it's we have those days where it
Yeah.
just feels like you're
Like,
not the
why are there
greatest.
all these people around me?
Yeah.
I'm an introvert. I'm married an introvert.
Oh,
And they're
yeah.
surrounded by people
Mhm.
and all the time and they don't have boundaries or anything because
Yeah.
you haven't taught them that.
That's a big thing
Um,
here. Like
yeah.
in this house too. In this house too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like imposter syndrome, like for me, when I used to blog, and I used to um there were a number of things that I used to do on a creative level where it was like blogging, it was streaming, it was I joined I joined a radio station for a while, and I did all
Mhm.
these things uh throughout my adult life, and even now at my job I'm always like, are they gonna find out? They gonna find out I don't know what I'm doing? Like that
Yeah.
I'm just making this up as I go? And it's really like,
Mhm.
in a way it makes it so much more difficult to then do the thing, right? To do the writing, and to
Mhm.
do the consistent posting or video or whatever it is we're trying to do,
Yeah.
and then it instills some doubt in like the thing if it's done. Like you do, you then make the thing, and then you're like, I don't think that's really,
Yeah.
that's not my good, not good work, not my best stuff. It's challenging, and I imagine in the context of your project for this year, it's certainly, I can only imagine how difficult that is, and how probably trying it is.
Yeah. At the beginning, when I like launched the project, but I hadn't started the dress wearing yet,
Mhm.
I had a really strict schedule for like the topics I wanted to discuss, like around the issues of addiction and prostitution. And I quickly realized that I was kind of in over my head
Yeah.
and that I haven't continued a lot of that advocacy side
Uh-huh.
because I think that that kind of needs to be someone's own thing. Like it's not my job to do all the research, but it's more like, yeah, that encouragement of like, I don't have to know everything about this topic or
Right.
this cause, but I can still encourage people to, give money or time to like do what they like. I mean, we we've pledged and are giving to the project and um I feel like at this point in my life that's what I have time for is
Yeah.
to just work and serve and but not physically go to where I'm like raising money for
Right.
once a week or something where just because like I have little people that
You
I
have
need to care for
commitments.
right
Yeah.
now um and so I've actually been like more surprised at the the empathy that I'm learning by doing the project, like for a woman or whomever is walking out of any type of addiction,
Mhm.
like they're doing something enormously challenging that I can't understand. But
Right.
for me, I'm also walking through things that to me are enormously challenging. And like in April, it was specifically brought to my attention through some friends that like I wasn't eating enough. Um, and and I was really not treating my body a way that I should.
Right.
And not just that it'd been recent, but that like for most of my adult life, that's what it was.
Mhm.
And so to have that realization while doing this challenge was enormously humbling. And like, I think if I ever create anything based on this year, I
Mhm.
think that would be the arc of, God got my attention with wearing a dress every day and being intentional about that. But,
Mhm.
he also, and I totally attribute it to God. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, um, and it's just like I could create about that if I had the time.
Yeah.
But right now, it's more in this like kind of this part of my brain, and it's going to work up here and then
Yeah.
into my hands.
Yeah.
Um, but just that idea of I've heard the like don't waste your cancer idea of if you're going through something like cancer or something like use it. Don't just wallow in it
Yeah.
or um, because other people will benefit from that
Yeah.
insight. Um, I love your arc of your your podcast.
Oh.
It's so original. I think like it's not. I know you're in gaming, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I make games.
yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And but that you're expanding it to creator
Yes.
and I think I mentioned to you before about the Enneagram,
Yeah.
and I would put money on you being a 4.
Yeah.
And I think just because I kinda know you, and I think I'm a 4 too,
Yeah.
but because 4s are creators
Mhm.
and 4s are those artists,
Mhm.
and that art can look any way, like and I think
It's
that, like
everywhere.
yeah, just like, even thinking about and after listening to a couple of your other videos,
Mhm.
like everybody and all like children are creators and like
Yes.
kids just naturally draw and show their awesome dance move and
Yeah.
like it's like somewhere in us
It's
that
in us. It's
we
ever
want
it's
to create
yeah.
and that can look any way
Yeah.
um
I think
is
I think it's
fascinating.
beautiful. And I
Hmm.
mean, I never thought I'd kind of be doing what I'm doing now. Um,
Hmm.
you know, I always thought I was a little creative, but I kind of found myself
Yeah.
doing things that are a lot more so, and I never really, I guess, felt that way about me. But then when you look back, or when I look back, it was all there. It was all there.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
totally.
was totally there, and only in hindsight I realized, yeah, I've been doing this sort of thing, like it's part of my core
Hmm.
since forever, and
Yeah.
um,
No,
I
I remember like buying you a blank notebook because
yes,
you were a writer or you
yes,
were trying writing.
and I still have it.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I remember picking it out because like that was that summer that we kind of dated,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I never saw you for like 3 months or something.
I'm so sorry.
But well, because
Because
you like, and also there were no cell phones, right?
yeah.
And I actually, my husband was like, "Oh yeah, you have that thing tonight with your friend," and I remember
Hmm.
like that summer when I had to borrow my mom's cell phone, but I had to call you after 9 o'clock
I
because then it
remember.
was free,
Yeah,
right?
I remember. Can you believe how it was back then?
Like, I remember going to college with like, $50 in calling cards
Yep,
because my cell phone wouldn't make long distance calls.
I
And
did
it's
that
just like,
too.
that's
You
maybe
know,
like a senior citizen
I
thinking
know I
about it
feel
this
pretty
way.
old after
But
that. I so it's funny that you bring up the notebook because I remembered the notebook and I was thinking about it this morning because I was like, I know exactly where it is.
that's
Do I
funny.
have time to get it like out? Because like it's in a box in the back of a closet with some other things. I was like, should I look for it? I was like, there's no time. Because I was literally during my morning routine. I'm brushing
Yeah.
my teeth. I'm like, oh, I still have it. Of course, I still have it, and I filled it up.
Oh, that's
And
good.
I have to say that back then I really appreciated it. And I'm sure you knew that, but that stuck with me for a very long time and I think thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for that
you're
because
welcome.
it really in a way gave me some permission to explore that because I think
Hmm.
at the time I didn't think that was something I wanted to really explore, not for anything other than I just didn't think it was something that I could do or be good at. And
Hmm.
I think when you did that, it really told me that it was a worthwhile thing. So thank you. Like, it means
Yeah,
a
you're
lot to me.
welcome.
And
No, I totally I mean, I remember that, but then also like considering the idea of um like what I wanted to do as
mhm,
an adult.
yeah,
I wanted to get a job, and writing and creating
yeah.
weren't very solid, like
Options at all.
like it's not going to make a lot of money
Yeah,
any
yeah.
which is awkward because I pursued teaching, which wouldn't make me very much money either,
Yeah.
but it has a lot of job security, right? There's always
Hmm.
going to be public school,
Yeah,
which is also ironic. um
yeah.
but like after I was never good at math or anything, and I went to the UW, and because I wasn't good at anything else, I got an English degree, which I wasn't good at,
Oh,
or I didn't feel as good as I wanted to be at
of
it. And
course.
even looking at over like old things that I wrote or something, like it's appallingly bad.
Oh,
Um, and I think a lot of it, like, I sent you that book, Big Magic,
yes.
and the bottom line is creative living beyond fear.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you started reading it, but she talks the whole time about just how if you're going to do anything in life, you have to be afraid of, like, you have to get past the fear of it, like
Yeah.
the fear of failure and the fear of um, what people are going to think.
Yes.
And there's another book, I think I want to say it's by Anne Lamott, and she writes like that if you're going to write anything or do anything worthwhile, it's going to piss some people off
Yeah.
too.
Hmm.
Um, and that's super sobering because like there's some things that I've written or created or something that I just um, don't ever want to show anybody because I know it's going to piss off somebody.
Yep. It's gonna
And
make
like, is
someone
that
angry.
worth it? Like maybe just the exercise of writing it out or thinking it or drawing it or
Yeah.
whatever was what was intended.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway,
I
off
think
on a
that
tangent.
no, I think that's a great place to be, right? Like,
Hmm.
because
It makes a person humble,
yes,
one, to be like, people are gonna, consume whatever I create, and they might not like it.
yeah,
And they might think I'm dumb or
they might think
stupid or
something.
whatever.
Yeah, they
And
might think something about you, and it's really
but it's not
hum
really about what they think.
exactly, and that's what
So,
I was going to say. It's
mm,
really about you. It's really about the thing you want to make and what you get out of it, right?
mhm,
I learned this pretty early on in my career as a game designer because you want to make a game, and on that level that's great, but then when you start to dig into the details and you're like, "Oh, I think this is going to be fun." And usually when you do this sort of thing, you work on a team, and there's going to be
yeah,
someone on the team that's like, "I don't think that's very fun," or like, "It could be better if you do it this way," or be
mhm,
like, and speaking of humbling, I had to very early on in my career understand that as one of the designers, it's my job to like say, here's the idea, here's the concept, jump on board with me, like
yeah,
take my hand, let's build this thing together. So there's a level of where if they don't like it,
mhm,
you pretty much have to kind of determine what as a team you can make together.
mhm,
And
mhm,
it's really hard when you're getting a lot of that critique, or you're getting that
mhm,
like, oh hey, this is crap, this is not a good
yeah,
idea.
yeah,
And um it's a hard, like anything else, it's never easy. And even doing it every day when you have people looking at your work and telling you what they think of it, it never gets easier. you just
mhm,
find
mhm,
ways to you just find ways to work with that.
mhm,
But there are times where, I've been doing this for almost 10 years, but like I'm like, why? Who do you think you are? Like,
yeah, yeah,
why do you think my ideas suck so much? And
yeah,
it's really, it comes back full circle to what you said earlier. It's like you can't be afraid. You
mhm,
can't let those opinions um get in the way of your act of making. And certainly some people may have very constructive feedback or very, very helpful um perspective on what you're making
mhm,
or what you're putting out there, but it's certainly never easy to take it when they're like, "Oh, hey, that wasn't really good."
yeah.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that, being able to, like, receive feedback for any work that you put out is
Yes.
incredibly challenging, and also, I mean, you kinda have to get over that pride of,
Yes, very much.
but also, someone can give you feedback and be a jerk about it, and maybe they
Mhm.
don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I, for a while, was attending a local writing club,
Mhm.
and I didn't find it very helpful because they didn't tell me what they thought I should change.
Right.
And and also I didn't really trust that if there was anything that they thought should change, that they would do it in a kind way.
Mhm.
And so, you kind of like have to make your circle really small of like, these are
Mhm.
the people that I trust to give me honest feedback and not
Mhm.
be rude about it.
Mhm.
Um, I mm, a lot of story in a really short amount of time, but we had a really challenging like church situation
Mhm.
about 6 years ago, and it really caused me to. I think I was really struggling with a lot of like postpartum depression actually in that
Right.
time period,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of drama with our relationships and stuff, and
Mhm.
and it caused me to make my circle really, really too small, um,
Yeah.
and not have any safe people,
Mhm.
and I read around that time, was reading Brene Brown a
Mhm.
lot, and she is a shame researcher. She's brilliant if you haven't um, read any of her stuff, but she suggested, at least in relationships, and I'm sure it could translate to like professional type things if you're in that field.
Mhm.
Um, but she suggested making a piece of paper that was 1 inch by 1 inch and writing names on it of
Mhm.
people that if they give you feedback, you will listen to it and consider it, But if
Mhm.
someone else gives you feedback or criticism and their name isn't on that 1-inch piece of paper, um, take it or leave it,
Yeah.
and it doesn't mean anything. And so,
Yeah.
uh, I have one of those,
That's awesome.
and if you have too many names, then you have to write really small,
Mhm.
probably have too big of a list.
Mhm.
And if there's only 1 or 2 names, you might wanna consider adding people to that list. And it was just like, okay, these are the people that if I ask for their opinions and they think I should really change something, whether it's about my life or about work or something,
Mhm.
um, I'll really consider it, whereas everyone else is a little bit more open-handed.
Yeah.
It was really valuable,
I
but
like that.
I mean, in a work environment, you might not really get to choose
Yeah, I
that in
don't
the
get to
same
choose
way,
at work.
but
But I think the application of it in life is really like I
Mhm,
really like that idea. And I think for a lot of us to be successful in the things that we want to do, whether it be as a creator or even just, living our lives, we have that group of people, that list of people that
mhm,
we,
mhm,
their opinions matter, their
mhm,
feedback is valuable,
mhm,
and everything else outside of that shouldn't matter, right? Like it shouldn't
mhm,
matter as much because those people probably one don't have as big of a stake in your well-being as
mhm.
the folks on that list do, and two, if they're not on that list, who cares?
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
yeah, and it's really tough, right? Because you want to like you want to do good things, you want to
mhm,
live a good life, or you want to create something great,
mhm,
and it's
mhm,
hard because of that fear of what those other people think.
mhm,
It's really
mhm,
difficult, especially like when you're online and you're
mhm.
posting pictures or videos or blog posts.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
like, you know, all it takes is one person who maybe not even knows you to see that and make a critical comment that doesn't really
mhm.
do anything for you.
I I've actually, like, been a little worried because on the Good Logger, it's set up where you can't comment, which I wasn't the one who set it up, so I don't know how to change that
Hmm.
necessarily. I might have to employ tech support. And then on the Facebook, um, some posts or articles or whatever that we put out are a lot better. They get a lot better audience, and I don't know what the magic is to that,
Hmm.
but um, I also think for me it's kind of an obedience, like,
Hmm.
and this would come back to, you know, God gave me something and I need to share it,
Yeah.
and um, writing because or putting out things because it's what I'm supposed to do, not because I want reaction.
Right.
And I was actually thinking about this yesterday or the day before, just how I think in the span of my life, like, and maybe you would echo this too, like when you see other people in maybe a similar field and they have success,
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
wait, why not me?
Hmm.
Like I'm
Why
working
didn't
my butt off over here, and
Yeah,
how come? And it's like, well, you can't think that way.
you
You have
can't.
to, yeah, you can be disappointed and maybe learn from it, but you
Mhm,
have to be happy for that person
mhm.
and their, recognition, or, that, like, one of my friends wrote a book and it's selling and it's doing great. And
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
but I want that,
Yeah,
and you just kind of have to like retrain to be happy for your fellow people who are out there doing what you might do later, but
mhm.
not yet, or something. And
Yeah,
for me, it's totally like God has me in this like sort of holding pattern of humility for
mhm.
some reason.
Of course.
And, that I don't know why,
Yeah,
but where I am.
yeah. Well, comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Yeah, totally.
And I'm no stranger to that. That's actually one of the things that I think was a big um it was a big learning moment for me, I think, in my both my career and when I was into the streaming stuff. Like, I would see people who were doing things not unlike myself, and
Mhm.
I would begin to question, like, well, why, what's the difference, right? Like, I'm working my butt off too. I'm putting stuff out there that I feel is like like good quality video content, and then, you see someone who you would consider similar doing really
Mhm.
well and taking off, and you're like, why am I not there too?
Yeah.
Or why am I
Yeah.
not doing as well? And it's so hard to not, like, I think it's natural. I think
Mhm.
our brains look for patterns, and our brains, that's a puzzle to us that we're trying to solve, and
Mhm.
I think it's definitely hard to fight that instinct. But it only serves to slow you down, unfortunately, right? Like, cuz then
Mhm.
you're spinning on that whole thought, when what you could be
Mhm.
doing is continuing to do the thing that you were creating in the first place, cuz you want to do something good, whether, in whatever thing that you're trying to do, and then you get caught in this weird loop of, like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing great, or,
Mhm.
there's this whole, like, horrible feeling of, like, well, is am I enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not unlike high school
Yes.
of like, oh, I'm not in the group or whatever that I wanted to be in or
Yeah.
whatever.
How was high school
And
for you, Addie? Only because,
you weren't there.
I was
You were
there.
there more.
I know I was there, but we never talked about,
Oh.
like I
Oh, actually, so because I knew I would talk to you today, like I was looking at old pictures, and there's
mm,
so many pictures of like you and me in like a group,
yeah,
or like we
yeah,
were in tons of things together.
we were.
And I mean, we were in the same friend group
Hmm.
for a lot of it,
For
but
most of it.
um,
And then I think I just kind of faded into the background on purpose. That was
what?
towards the end there. I was just kind
What?
of, yeah, as a
Uh,
lone as a lone wolf.
you're a lone wolf
As a
at the end
lone
of high school?
No, how was it for
Uh,
you? How was high school for you? Like, looking
well,
back on it now.
okay, I did like high school, and I did like growing up in Astoria.
Yeah.
I don't think I would move my family there,
Yeah.
and I mean, I like where we live.
Yeah.
And although I really have liked reconnecting with people after high school
Mhm.
and like forming friendships with people that I wasn't really friends with
Mhm.
because we were like in these like weird casts of like, here's this
Yes.
person and here's me. And like we would never be friends.
Mhm.
But now that like we're hopefully more mature and,
We're no
you
longer
know,
in that weird
yeah, like,
environment.
and so I really like that part. Um, but high school was really dominated by like social things
Oh my gosh, yeah.
and in like thinking through, particularly keeping homeschooling going. Like my kids are pretty, well, my older one is not really overly social.
Mhm.
And I'm so grateful that she can really just focus on the academics and not be distracted right now.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I totally think that I liked my experience.
Yeah.
Wasn't, but I might do things a little bit differently. I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably, if I were to do it over again, in the lens of what is coming out for me in Clothes and Dignity, I would treat my body better.
Yeah.
So recently, high school friend, like a friend who is in high school now,
Mm, got
but
it.
my friend, she said, "Oh, I only eat carrots like for dinner
Mm.
and lunch," and that was me. That
Mm-hmm.
was I had a can of Diet Coke and carrots for lunch, and I wish some almost 40-year-old woman had grabbed me or seen that that's what I was eating, like a teacher or something, and said, "No, you need to go,
Yeah.
eat something that's gonna give you, but because I think a lot of the things that have been challenging for me is
Yeah.
might have been from like a malnutrition even
Sure.
for the last 20 years. And so that's kind of something that I'm just kind of starting to unravel a little bit.
Yeah. It's a lot to
Um,
process.
yeah.
Yeah.
And um, add in there like almost 10 years of having babies
Yeah.
and lots of pressures of trying to be perfect or whatever.
And
And
just being a parent and a wife,
yeah,
and
um,
then everything else on top of that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that just slowing down a little bit, maybe like I don't know, but I liked a lot of parts of high school, and
Good.
I like that even though I don't get to see people, I do keep in touch with a lot of people,
Yeah.
social media, and that we were all born in the 80s instead of the 60s because
I'm so glad.
it'd be kind of lonely otherwise.
Yeah.
Um, it feels like a different, like, like a not a different chapter, but like a completely different book.
Yeah.
Like
It does,
there's
doesn't
like
it?
my friends that I have now that I've known post high school, and it's
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, I've known you forever. And
Yeah.
then sort of out of the blue, like I hear from you, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, well that was like a different book in the trilogy of
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
I'm glad I did though.
yeah,
Glad I reached out. It's
yeah, great idea.
I would agree that high school, obviously high school was a very different time, and um I guess my thoughts on high school was I don't regret any of it. I enjoyed high school. I loved it for what it was.
Yeah.
Um my parents were very much on the idea that I had to focus on school.
Hmm.
So that was my focus for like the academic side of things for a very long time during
Hmm.
that section of my life. And
Hmm.
so it was nice having the friend group that we had, and it was nice being involved in all the things I was involved in. Um I wouldn't trade any of that for the world, and I'd never do it again. But
Yeah.
I'd
Oh
never do
God.
it again. But
I don't know about middle school. Like I wouldn't go back to middle school
definitely not.
because, and I don't even think I really knew who you were in middle school, but we were there at the same
We
time.
were.
I mean, there was
I
only
think
one
I think
in
we knew of,
Astoria.
yeah, I knew of you.
Oh, okay.
I, like, saw you around, and
Yeah.
I don't know what
Well,
happened. We kind of touched on this briefly in like
I
messaging.
know.
Like, how did we
Yeah.
miss each other? I don't know. Because we never really got to know each other till high school. And then I
Hmm.
still, the whole thing's a mystery to me,
That's
because
so funny.
when you mentioned that, it had never occurred to me. I'm like, yeah, what even happened there?
Hmm.
I don't even know what happened. And so I'm just glad.
There's like I remember the very moment I met Jen,
Yeah.
and like for some reason I just remember that.
Yeah.
And there's some things that like kind of slow pan in, and then some things that are just sort of blurry in the background.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, um but anyway.
Yeah. I want to say that speaking, and I'll cap this off as far as the high school talk. Uh Being friends with you and being friends with that circle of people, which I'll be honest, I don't talk to you're the only one I really talk to out of that group. Um what like it was really great for me. It was
Hmm.
really great for me. And I think about those times and of you very fondly. So
Hmm, well,
thank
good.
you. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
What's gosh. So what's next, I guess? I mean, so you're still clothed in dignity
Mhm.
is your primary thing you're focused on. Um
There's, about 80 days left in
uh-huh.
the year.
Wow.
So, um, which is really cool that this year went by really quickly.
Good. Yeah.
Um, but also it yeah. What's next? I would like to creatively devote more time to the good logger and developing more regular, like a arc of content with that.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm really like, I'm not really sure what that's going to look like. And I'm not sure how much time I can spend on it, but I think taking Clothes and Dignity off and still like advocacy for vulnerable people would definitely continue to be a focus. But
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot of things that people can be passionate about,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to just be this one thing. But
Of course.
um, and the like tagline that Scott picked for for the Good Logger was an attempt to add grace to life,
Mhm.
and sort of being that like um, I would want the Good Logger to be refreshing and full of grace, and I've done a lot of writing like uh on like other blogs and things that I've contributed to where
Yeah.
it was not grace, it was a lot of pride and here's how you do things right type
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
And I just it's nauseating to read those previous things and to be
Right.
like, well, I used to have more of that attitude
Mhm.
of do it my way or get out of my way kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm a lot softer in the way that I approach life and art
Mhm.
now. And for me, that was a really big like switch around the time our Della was born.
Yeah.
Bella's 8. She's almost 8. And so sometime around after she was born, I kind of had this like aha of, oh my gosh, I'm kind of a jerk and I'm not, as gracious as I want to be. And I'm
Right.
really angry a lot of the time.
Mm.
And I still am.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a little bit softer.
Yeah.
And so I would want any content that I put out to be representative of that.
Yeah.
And um, I think especially the parents, like young parents, maybe that everybody, like we all want to do it right,
Mhm.
but you can't do it right.
Yeah.
Um,
You can only do your best, right?
yeah,
You can only do your best,
yeah,
and you learn as you go. And
hmm
I mean, to touch on that whole, you know, when you came out with earlier content, and it was like, this is how you do it, right?
hmm
I think that's, especially when we're younger, I think a lot of us feel that way to a certain
hmm
degree, right? And
hmm
then as we get older, we kind of learn that we only know so much, and there are many ways to do things, and
hmm
there is, like, to be more graceful in how we you know put ourselves out there in the world. And I think one of the neatest things about gaining that, I guess, point of view over the years, or even looking back at how we were when we were younger, is, you know, we didn't know. We
hmm
didn't know what we didn't know.
hmm
And I think you get that, you gain that concept as you get older. You see more things and you realize it's like, oh, I didn't really know how things went, and I still don't know how things go, but
Yeah.
we'll do our best. And I
Yeah.
think there's something. I mean, what I really appreciate about that and what you said there, Addie, is that your self awareness, right? Like it's. I think self awareness is a big thing for you as a creator to really embrace, right? And once you kind of learn who you are and learn where you're going as a person and as a creator, um, I have confidence in the stuff that you'll do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I know that, and it's you know, I was the same way. I'm still the same way in that I'm like, oh, I thought I knew how things went,
Yeah.
and here I am, and
Mm-hmm.
I look at it, I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have my collection of experiences and memories and learnings that I've had in my 37 years of life. Maybe I didn't want to reveal that, but for those
You're like a baby.
I know. Actually, when you think about it, right, like especially in
You
our
just had
generation,
your birthday, right?
yeah, it's
So
true. It's
I'm
true.
about to be 38. So,
Oh my gosh, you're so
got
much
a
older than
whole,
me.
I know.
Mm. My wife and I joke how she's perpetually 28 every
Yeah,
year. Yeah,
totally.
totally. But like we're it's true though with our generation. I mean, all things considered, I think we all are gonna live a lot longer. So
Yeah,
it's
I
funny
hope
that
so.
we joke about being so old, but like
Hmm.
we've probably lived less than half of our lifespan. So
Hmm.
that said,
Yeah.
um, self awareness, and I think
Hmm.
that's one of the best things you can have,
Hmm.
just as a person and as a creator. But like,
Yeah. I think also though that need or desire to create has to come from not because people are going to respond to it. Like
right?
I think I've definitely been in the. I mean, I like writing, but I also really like doing things like parties and
Yeah,
projects and teaching at a
yeah,
co-op or something, and something to like keep my brain busy. And I think there might be a little touch of like ADD or something going on because I'll have like lots of energy to do something and then it'll fade and then I'll kind of but sometimes I'll like hyper focus on
oh yeah,
whatever project at the expense of my family and my health and stuff, and it's like
I've been there.
no, you have to do like you just have to spend time with your spouse or your kids or and
Yes,
sometimes the creating has to kind of go over here,
it does.
um because it's not the most important thing, although it is important, it's not
Yep,
the most important thing. And I think, I mean, we're not young anymore,
true.
but like we're kind of getting to that age of like some marriages aren't working out.
Yeah,
People's kids are grown up adults who are making choices that are not what you would want or
yeah,
things that aren't like so happy, like
yeah.
it's been a really long time since we went to a wedding or went
Mm,
to, a baby shower or something like
mm-hmm.
just getting into that phase of life where like we're fully adults and
We're right in the
like
middle of it.
so um like it's really sobering to have like a ninth grader this year and think,
Oh yeah,
oh, she's, I remember being 14 and i I don't think,
she has no
I don't
idea.
know, yeah,
She has
like
no idea.
um like putting her behind the wheel of a car
Oh
in
my
less than
gosh,
2 years is ridiculous. And like I got my license when I turned 16,
I remember how
I did it.
that went too.
Yeah. Yeah, I hit some cars
I remember that.
early on.
Yeah, you did.
I haven't improved in my driving. Just, you know, it doesn't happen regularly, but there is the like I don't make the greatest choices, especially when I'm driving. And
Right.
I remember when I was at college at the UW, and I had my Jeep. My
Mhm.
parents had given me a Jeep,
Mhm.
and I needed to go to the Union Building for something. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be there very long, and I intentionally parked in a handicap zone.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to run in.
It's
Like, what's the
fine.
big deal?
Yeah.
So I got a ticket, and I didn't say anything about it. I think I even threw it away.
Yeah.
And because the car was registered to my parents, not
Oh.
me, they got the ticket.
Yep.
And someone calls, or because it
Yep.
was it was like college police,
They
not real
follow up
police.
on it.
Yeah, so they call my parents and they say, "Your daughter got a parking ticket." And my dad says, "No,
She wouldn't do that.
she's a goody two shoes. She would never do that." And then they call me, and I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah, that was
I
it.
did." And
Yeah.
it was like really expensive too. And
Oh
so,
no.
kind of those types of choices, I'm still the same that way.
Oh well. I'm glad some things never
Yeah,
change.
yeah. And I don't know. Um, but anyway,
Yeah, it was I love that story. It's really good. I just remember when we're in high school and you're driving us around because I didn't have my license yet.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who had the license.
Yeah, you did. So
Um,
you were super cool for that. Like you
yeah,
were.
very cool, apparently. Yeah. No, that Jeep served me well,
Yeah,
um, for a long time, and we sold it. think I think we might have given it away
yeah.
or sold it uh, not very long ago.
Really?
Yeah, I mean relatively.
Mm,
I had it for like 15 years, um, and traded in, and now I have a van because that's what
because
moms do.
of course.
And I'm really excited to give away the trashed van to one of my kids, and I can get a new car
Yeah,
like 2 or 3 years.
yeah.
Then I'm also like terrified about giving any vehicle to any of my children because
Yeah.
who knows what's going to happen.
Who
So
knows? Yeah,
the
we're
the
in.
amount of shenanigans that go on without my knowing around here are shocking.
Isn't
Pretty
it
sure
weird?
when my kids are older, they'll tell stories and I'll be like,
What
"You never
even?
did
Yeah.
that."
Like
Like,
what even happened? How
yeah,
did you pull that off? Yeah,
but
I can
it's just
imagine.
maybe someday it'll make good content to create.
Hey, I love your videos when you do them.
Thanks. Thanks.
I always get like the one you just posted.
Oh,
Like,
that one was hard. I didn't
yeah.
like doing that one.
Mm,
I didn't realize it had been 3 months since I had
yeah.
last posted one, and because that was really regular for a long
Yeah, it was
time,
pretty frequent.
for
And then
like maybe 4 or 5 months or 6 months, and um, I always just would get super nervous, like,
mm,
oh, I'm gonna say something wrong, and I'm gonna
yeah.
and sort of like trying to practice or think through what I'm
Do you
gonna
run
say,
through
and
do you do a dry run in front of a
oh,
mirror?
yeah, a little
Oh
bit.
my gosh, I love it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of been like, I don't know if it was just, I'm going to say God again, but God
Yep.
preparing me for like my later life. But
Sure.
since a very young age, I've talked to myself in a mirror,
Mm,
and I think it's like I'm more of a verbal processor
yeah.
or writing. Like I have to think about something for a long time, and then kind of like the first draft of anything is always bad,
Mhm.
but it's just getting words on a page.
Yep.
Um, and so I would think that practicing in front of a mirror is kind of that, getting words on a page before
It
you
it
press
can be.
record or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's just something I've always done
That's
and felt
that's good.
embarrassed about, but then realizing that it's part of the creative process
It is.
for me.
It is. We all have our rituals, I
Yeah.
think. I
But
always
I would never do that in front of even my husband. Like, no,
really.
I don't want to be that weirdo. He probably knows that I talk to myself,
You
but
probably heard it
yeah,
or caught it
yeah.
sometime.
Um, it's still embarrassing, you know.
Yeah. You think you'll ever get over that?
No, I don't
No.
think I'll get over
That's
being
probably
embarrassed about it.
yeah.
Um, and that's okay.
Yeah. I was going to say that's just fine.
Hmm.
I used to have this pre-stream ritual where I would kind of like play with the frame of the camera. So I'd be like coming in, I'd be like, practicing like the how I start. But then
Hmm.
it's like I start and it's just literally me staring blankly at the camera and going, "Oh, hey, hi."
Hmm.
Like nothing ever like
Hmm.
it's always awkward. So I
Yeah.
like to ask I like to ask people um about that. Like what do you do
Mm.
before you do the thing? And
Yeah.
for me it's goofy faces at the camera.
Yeah.
Trying to make
Yeah.
myself laugh because then I don't feel so bad that I'm
Hmm.
staring at my face. And then
We at our church for a while we were making video announcements,
yeah.
and one of the guys on our team is a videographer as well as like the worship pastor, and so I've made a couple videos for like commercials and stuff.
Oh,
And
that's
our church
awesome.
isn't big, but it's a pretty effective tool to like share about events or something.
Mhm.
And it was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever done,
Yeah.
is like having him, say, okay, say that line again, or
Mhm.
just look right at the camera instead of like looking
Mhm.
down like I normally would. And
Mhm.
um
It's not
it's
natural.
really awkward,
Yeah.
and it feels just, I don't know, like,
Mhm.
so I have much more respect for like actors and
Oh
actresses
yeah.
and people that do this all the time, and you know their likeness is, I can hide behind a computer screen of like
Mhm.
writing in a Word document,
Mhm.
but it's not, I'm glad I'm doing that part, like kind of the hidden part
Sure.
most of the time. um but then there's that like, uh I really do want those, like, I would love to be able to talk about growth and dignity
Yeah.
more, um, but those opportunities haven't come up
Mhm.
this year,
Mhm.
which is okay.
Mhm.
Like I wanted to maybe do like they have like the TEDx talks at the
Oh yeah.
libraries and stuff,
Oh yeah.
and I thought, oh, that would be great, to just see if I could do something like that, and it just never worked out, or maybe I didn't pursue it enough or
Mhm.
something, and just like, that's okay. This isn't, it's work, but it's not like my livelihood, so I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
anyway.
But also it's
I
not
actually
too
was,
it's not too late.
I know. I was kind of like thinking that, you know, it's if it's gonna happen, it'll happen in the time that it needs to happen.
Yeah.
But I actually was wondering, because you are doing your 24-hour gaming,
Yeah.
and I was curious, like, what time do you start?
Oh
Do
yeah.
you sleep all night and then get up and play,
Yeah. It's
or have like a full day? And like, what does
so
your
I've
family
done yeah,
do? And
I would love to dive into that a little bit. So I've been doing it, this is year 6, so I've done it 5 times. Um First 2 were really bad. But
what defines really bad?
oh my gosh. So I thought I was going to die towards the end of it. Like I thought
Because you were
I
tired?
was so tired.
Yeah.
I was loopy. Like you get
Hmm.
loopy and you get out of it and you have no idea what's going on and everything's funny and you're
Hmm.
saying stuff or like you're trailing off. I was trailing off. My eyes were like barely open and I was like clicking the mouse going, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And but so yeah, it's so I've got it down to science for me, which is I get a full night's sleep if I can. So I try to go for like 8 to 10 hours.
So
Well,
this
yeah.
is your 6th year, and you
Yes.
have a 9-year-old, a
Yes.
7-year-old. So you've done this while having babies. It's not like
Yeah, and the
you're
thing is,
probably not getting a full night's sleep.
and I never do.
Yeah.
I
I
try
mean,
to. I go to bed earlier, and I try to, and
yeah.
it never happens.
Because
But
even if you're not up with your baby,
yeah,
if Sarah's doing that,
yeah,
like, you're still awake,
you're still awake
right?
because it's there. is
Yeah.
happening around you. No, and it's true, you're right. It never happens. I still get woken up or I still lay awake, but I try to go to bed early and I try to cram in as much sleep as I can, which is unlikely to even be. It's usually never the full amount of time.
Mhm.
And then I get up at like a reasonable time, 7 or 8 in the morning,
Mhm.
and then I go for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the plan is that I drink a lot of water. I drink a ton of water. I start with
Are
some
you allowed
coffee.
to take bathroom breaks?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. You just you can't
You just
well, because it's
yeah.
playing I'm
Yeah,
also very literal. Like, so if you say
it
you're gonna play
is.
games for 24
It
hours,
is, but like it's within reason. So what I do
okay.
is, yeah, I found that a lot
Like,
of water is really good because then I have to
okay.
get up and use the bathroom a lot. So like,
Mhm.
um,
What do you do with this? Because is the screen just nothing
I
then?
go no,
Or
I go to like I have a little nice intermission screen
oh, nice.
where it's
Okay.
just a little animated. I think at the time it was like a cartoon version of my face, and
Okay.
then saying like I'll be right back, like in
When
text.
is
When
when
is
is the
it?
one that you're doing this year?
So I'm actually figuring that out right now. The
Oh,
day
it's not a specific day
So
that you
it's generally the day like so for Extra Life they set a day and it's November 2nd this year. But through circumstance and other things going on with work, I was going to
Mhm.
help work focus on that. And so it's either going to be the 2nd or the 9th or the 16th. Like one of
Mm.
those 3 Saturdays. I'm going to figure it out in the next couple weeks here. And I'll go from like 8 or 9 in the morning until 8 or 9 the next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to get sleep. I drink a lot of water. I drink
Mhm.
coffee within reason. Um, take a lot of bathroom breaks. I try to eat.
Like, it's like being on a transatlantic flight,
It is. It's grueling.
and you have to, like, manage your, what are like, blood clots, like, if you're sitting too
Yeah,
long. I mean,
you
not
gotta
just for
stand.
playing games. I
Yeah.
love the creativity of that and
Mm-hmm.
that it's raising money. Like,
Yeah.
there's, there's so many things that you can, like, give your money or time to,
Mm-hmm.
and that to have that, like, creativity of, "We're gonna do something no one else has ever thought of
Yeah.
until, 6 years ago or whatever."
Yeah.
And it kinda gets people's attention. Like,
It
I think I saw, because you've done it the last 5 years, and I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, "That's, like, the weirdest thing I could ever think of."
it is. It totally
Because,
is.
like, I'm not into gaming,
Yeah.
but I was just like, but enough, like, repetition that you're, like, building this audience
Yeah.
of, "Hey, he's doing it again," like,
Yeah.
um, that it's just so original. And,
Yeah.
like, are you playing games that, like, your companies developed, or
It'll probably include games that we've made. It will be
it's not like one game for the whole time?
no.
Okay. Well, and you're
It's
doing, like, special things through it, and
Yep, it becomes an event. It becomes
okay,
think of
okay.
like the old school charity telethons on TV that you used to see.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
that, but very like within the context of like a video
Mhm,
game entertainment stream. So like what
mhm.
would happen is I'll probably like play some video games and like the things that really work for that are when you get like audience like level video games where they're like party games and the audience can join in somehow.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
stuff like that, or like trivia games where they can answer
Oh,
along.
okay.
So stuff like that.
So not just like, Battlefield or whatever.
No,
Okay.
I'm
'Cause that
especially not that kind of gamer either.
okay.
I'm very
That
like
I didn't know those
simulation
things.
strategy type guy. But like what I do is I'll do a lot of party games,
Mhm,
and because it's nice because then there are people who are playing along that I
mhm,
can interact with,
mhm.
and then we'll set goals for like every what was it last year, it was like every $25 I would eat one of those jelly beans that is either
Oh,
something normal or really gross.
oh, those are the worst.
Those were the worst, and
That's gross.
audience my audience loved it, and I
Yeah,
ate so many of
yeah,
those. I ate like there's a box of like 90 of them. I went
yeah.
through most of the box, and by the
I don't
end
those I hate when my kids do that because it's just their breath stinks.
oh yeah,
Their breath smells like dog poop.
It's
or
gross.
whatever.
I was
Yeah.
chewing gum after. I'd pop some
Yeah.
gum after the fact.
I think there's that, like, vulnerability and, like, willingness to, like, make a fool of yourself
Yeah.
that really gets people's attention, and you're not doing it because, it gets people's attention, but it's like, no, the attention comes to this, ridiculous thing you're
Yeah.
doing,
Come
and
here and
then
see this.
see what I really care about, because it's
Yeah.
not about eating the birdie bots or
Yep.
whatever.
Exactly.
Like, I
Yeah.
did that on the halfway point of Cloth and Dignity. I had these 2 stupid dresses, and I
Yeah.
wore one, and it
Yeah.
was on a Sunday, and I work on Sundays because I
Oh,
work at
that's
a
so great.
church.
And you were wearing it.
It was, like, 90 degrees. I mean, maybe not 90, but for Seattle,
It
it
was
felt like 90
warm.
degrees, and I'm wearing this stupid, ugly dress
Yeah.
that my sister-in-law gave me, and thank you, Rachel, but it had, shoulder pads,
Oh my god.
and I teased my hair so it looked ridiculous, and so I am the kids ministry director, so I was teaching in class that
Wearing
day,
this.
wearing this ridiculous dress, and then I was leading a vacation Bible school meeting after church,
That's
after the
amazing.
service,
If I
in
could have
front of
only seen that in person.
like 50 people. Yeah. It was like, this is worth it. But
Yeah.
then also, I didn't see a huge jump in any of the pledges,
Hmm.
and I didn't, like, it's easy to press like. It's a little harder to have people, you know, take that next step because it
Yeah.
requires more steps, but then realizing I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because I gotta.
Oh
And
yeah. For the
um
love of what you're doing,
yeah.
right? I
And
mean,
so
yeah.
having those like regular, I'm trying to think of something else ridiculous.
Hmm.
And my birthday's coming up the end of the month. And so
I
I'm
know.
trying to think,
I'd be
what's
glad to
something
brainstorm with you.
ridiculous? What's something ridiculous I could do?
Oh my gosh.
Um, but you
That's
know,
I think I need to think about that one if
mhm.
you need input on that.
But then also, like, as far as like a fundraising thing, if you're creating for fundraising, one thing I've learned, because I've heard mostly from my friend
Hmm.
who's done a lot more of it, is that people give at the end. Like,
Yes.
if you're doing a month-long campaign or something, like I've done other fundraisers for Peoria Home
Hmm.
and December, and we'll see like 0 donations until December 23rd
Yep.
or something. And then that last week, it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So
Most people wait.
not it's not evenly distributed, and you
Yes.
can't, create doing like thinking you're gonna get that or something.
Yeah.
You just do it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's fun when it happens, and you have to be happy it doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's certainly
So
true. It
things like eating ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, I ate ridiculous stuff. I did karaoke at bigger goals.
Yeah,
Like I was
yeah,
like, okay, if we get another $100, I'll do some karaoke and like you guys can vote on the song. And so did a couple of those and I think I deleted those
yeah,
videos.
yeah.
Anyway, um yeah, so yeah, I have all these like little incentives that I'd put
Mhm,
out there. And you're right, a lot of the stuff comes in towards the end cuz last year I raised uh was it 3400 at the end of my
cool.
24
In
hours.
a day?
Yeah, in a 24-hour
Awesome.
period. And
Yeah,
the last 1,000 of it came in like an hour, the last hour and a half.
yeah, yeah.
And so it was just like I'm like, "Oh, cool. Well, it's like cuz I think I set my original goal was really low. And then I think I raised it halfway through and then I raised it again. And then
Mm,
I was like, there's no way we're hitting this. And then I was like, but we'll try. And it was in that last hour and a half. And I was
yeah,
pretty like internally I was certain that I was like, okay, well, it is what it is. We'll get what we get. This is great. We're doing great things here and
mhm,
just bombarded at the very end. And it's a live stream and we had alerts set up. So like anytime someone donated, the value would pop up on in the middle of the screen. It'd be like someone donated this much, someone donated this much, and it just kept coming in. Like my
yeah.
notifications were rolling in at the end. And so
I love that, that overlapping of entertainment and, you know, doing good
Yeah,
because, people love those uh news stories. Like I heard my friend told me of this news story where this guy went to a press conference and he was holding up a sign that said, "PayPal me beer money" or something.
I heard about that.
Hear about this?
Yes.
And all these donations came in,
Hmm.
and he's like, "Thanks, I got enough for beer, whatever,
Yeah,
20 bucks or
seriously.
whatever."
Yeah.
And he gave like the rest of it, which was like 20,000 or probably way more than that, to
Oh yeah.
like some children's hospital on the East
Hmm.
Coast. It was like, that's crazy. Like people are just excited to like watch this happen in live time, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to like rely on like ABC News or anything
Yeah.
to report it. It just is, you get to watch it happen. And
Yeah.
um what a neat idea, and
Yeah.
that like there's so much
There's so
good that
much
can
good
come
out.
from
Yeah,
it.
there's so much good that comes from it. And um I know like as an actual like fundraiser, Extra Life, they did just millions of dollars in a day
Mm, wow.
because of people like me, because of what we did, right?
And it's all Extra Life is all people who are going to game for 24
They're gonna
hours.
game for 24 hours. They don't even
Okay.
have to stream, but like that's kind of like the thing, but it's not
Yeah.
required. And that's
There
how I
is that
got into streaming.
accountability
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
It's how I got into streaming, and then because I did a charity stream, I was like, "Oh, this sounds really fun. I
Mhm.
wanna do some good," and the money is sent directly to the hospital, my local hospital here, Sacred Heart here in Eugene,
Yeah.
Springfield area, and so they get that.
Mhm.
They got that right after the fact, and so
That's really neat.
yeah,
I
and I
think it's
love to.
also like it's big business to raise money. And there's a lot of, sites that take which it makes sense that they would because it
There's some
costs to like have a
cost.
domain and stuff, but it's kind of a bummer because it's like,
Mhm.
really is it,
How much of that's going to the thing?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um and so I always am more prone to just like, I'll just send someone a check instead of on a GoFundMe, just because on principle,
Yeah.
like I don't want to support the man or
No,
something.
I get it. You don't wanna
Um,
pay the person in
yeah.
between. I get it. I
Um,
totally do.
but you know,
Yeah. So more on that later, I guess, as far as like I'll
yeah,
tell you more. And if you have questions
mm,
on that. And I mean, I love what you're doing as far as the
yeah,
fundraising that you're doing. And um I think it's awesome. I really
mm.
do. Like the dress challenge is no joke. Like you are.
It seems kind of silly that it's such a big deal, like that wearing a dress would be such a big deal because, I mean, but it is. I think. I mean, I've had people say, like comment that I always really look put together, which I find funny because I feel less put together than ever.
Mhm.
Um, but just that I'm wearing heels
Mm,
because heels go with what I'm wearing, not
right.
because they're comfortable. Like my feet are killing me
Mhm.
some days because I'm wearing heels that go with whatever outfit I have. But it kind of like gets the attention. Like I've also wondered if people might think I'm doing it for religious reasons, like if they see me wearing a dress all the time but don't
Right.
really know me or know like see anything online or something, like
Mhm.
friends at our co-op or church or something, places we go frequently, and um, think like, oh, is she Amish or like
Wow, that never
she like
struck me as a
really
thing.
fundamentalist or something,
Really?
like, yeah, like
Wow.
there's um I've just wondered. Nobody's asked me those things, but I think that,
You
if
wouldn't be surprised if that
I
was
would
what
want
they're.
to figure out why someone does what they do.
Yeah.
Um and I also, like, I made the rule where I can wear skirts and that counts as a dress because there's
Mhm.
dress number has other rules. And then I had leggings are okay under a dress. And then there's also like athletic skirts, which are for like working out, but it's got shorts. And I
Mhm.
realized I don't really like wearing those because I feel like I'm cheating. Like,
Like it doesn't quite fulfill
yeah, it's
the
not the spirit of it, of like,
right.
if I'm wearing leggings and my skirt, so leggings can be pants,
Mhm.
which I don't generally wear that anyway, even before the dress thing, but
Mm-hmm.
you could pass by just wearing leggings. But leggings
Mm-hmm.
are not pants.
Right.
So if I'm wearing a pair of leggings and a skirt that might be a little short, I'll pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel weird about it because I'm not like
It's
I'm being immodest or something
right.
um and I've always been pretty modest
Yeah.
and um and I don't think that comes from a spirit of immodesty. I think that comes from for me a spirit of insecurity where I feel better if I'm covered, like
I get it.
um and so anyway, those are
Yeah.
things that I just didn't know before and I've actually been having on a couple occasions I've had dreams where I accidentally put on a pair of jeans and leave my house and then I realize while I'm out of my house that I'm wearing jeans and I'm breaking my rules.
Mm.
And it's like these are really weird dreams.
Yeah. The
Nobody
fact that
nobody would have these dreams unless they're doing something like this
yes.
um and it's just so weird. But I think like when I think about why and like why do I get up every day and put on a dress?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I writing about it and spending time on it
Mm-hmm.
and money?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's because every day the ladies, and I know them, the ladies that live there at Peoria Home are doing something so much harder and they're having to walk away from everything they knew that was normal.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the ladies are, I mean, a lot of people affected by prostitution are, it's their normal to, to be mistreated or to be um, not respected. And like for me, like with the food thing,
Mm-hmm.
not eating enough was normal.
That was
And
yeah.
that was my normal.
That
And so
was your normal.
to see that that's not really normal and to have to make myself get to like a minimum instead of not go over
Yeah.
in calories and stuff like that was my normal. And it's been really challenging. It's like some days I'm like, well, I'm not even hungry, but I know I should eat and I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
But to be like, these ladies are getting up every morning and they're struggling with things that are much bigger. Like, should I go back to my pimp? That's
Right.
the struggle of
Right.
like, you know, this feels uncomfortable to like be free or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Or should I go back to drugs or something? Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, and and that's why I, I chose to do the project and I didn't know it was going to show me these things, but I think that going back to the question of what's next, like I think there's a lot of teasing out of those topics, at least for me in my heart, and whether I write about it or not
Yeah.
or speak about it, like it's there for me to contemplate, and that's enough, I think. But
Yeah. Hey, so thank you for doing like what you're doing though. Like I think it's pretty commendable, like what you're
thank
doing.
you.
And I love it. I love what you're doing and um I've told you this before, but like I just think it's great and I'm really
Mm,
glad for what you're doing. And I think
thanks.
it's amazing.
Mm,
So,
thank you.
I
It
mean,
was really nice to talk to you more.
it's nice to talk to you too. It
Should be
is.
more like not 20 years.
I know. We're not going to do that again.
Yeah.
Any
Well,
final thoughts for this?
um, I'm excited that you get to have more people and talk about things that you're passionate about. I
Yeah.
think it's a great niche.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm excited to see like what happens with this project
Me
and
too.
how, you get to kind of like there's going to be new technology that comes out that might change how you do this and
Yeah.
even just conversation and like you've always been really authentic
Oh,
even before
thank you.
authentic was the thing that people wanted to be and I think that that's good and um, I think it's scary probably for you to step into something that is new, and
It is.
good job doing that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
All
Well,
right.